We just don't know what will happen one summer when there's no more sea ice. Maybe 4 or 5 years from now. We don't know what the loss of the albedo effect will mean, how much more heat the exposed dark waters will absorb, how quickly that heat will disseminate into the surrounding land masses and unlock the carbon in the permafrost, enough to triple the amount currently in the atmosphere. We don't know when we will pass that tipping point where natural positive feedback processes take over and it's all out of our control.
So E.ON's Kingsnorth is the first in line of 8 new coal-fired power stations currently being proposed. Kingsnorth would emit as much as the whole country of Ghana, as much as the 30 lowest emitting countries combined. Last week, the World Development Movement published a report revealing that this one power station could be responsible for 30,000 climate refugees.
It is through disobedience that progress has been made. Through disobedience and through rebellion. Sometimes the best way to get something done is to do it for yourself. And when thousands of people act together in civil disobedience, they don't break the law, they change it.
Today we are seeing a whole range of policies pushed under the banner of climate change mitigation. But many, if not most of those policies, on the one hand, either protect business as usual for the fossil fuel industry, for agribusiness and logging and plantation companies, while at the same time opening up new lucrative business opportunities for the very corporate industries that have driven us to the verge of global collapse and extinction.
Anywhere in the world, the climate change impact will first affect to the most vulnerable community and the poorer section of the community, especially women, children, and the poorer community of the society.
Ministry of Defence spends £33 billion a year on the military budget. And what's the money going into research and development and green technologies and renewables? Absolute peanuts. The climate agenda is a peace agenda. Countries which are self-sufficient and rely on cooperation with other countries in terms of developing electricity cooperation, grids and renewables are countries which will be more pacific and less likely to go to war.
We have commentators, pundits, politicians lining up saying that you're wasting your time. That in a recession we can't afford the luxury to worry about the planet. That at a time of economic hardship we haven't got the privilege, we haven't got the self-indulgence, we don't deserve it to worry about the environment. They are wrong, you are right. How on earth did we create an economy so reliant on the short-termist boom and bust speculation of the city while it let our environment and our planet go to rot? How on earth did we create an economy which is not only socially unjust but environmentally unsustainable?
And what we're saying to the government, we welcome the Climate Change Act. We congratulate you on the legislation. We're pleased it's now 80%. We're pleased you've included aviation, not shipping. But what we want is not words, we want deeds. So there's no way that you can tell us you're tackling climate change if you go ahead with a new generation of coal-powered power stations. There's no way you can tell us you're tackling climate change if you try to expand Heathrow Airport. And there's no way you can tell us you're in favour of the future of our planet and you rely upon nuclear energy and, yes, nuclear weapons. What we want are deeds, not words.
And I can promise you that it's here on the streets of London and on the streets of cities around the world that the real politics on climate change is being done today. And I think that our message should be this. that the government's cowardly inaction is not only destroying the environment, it is destroying people's lives here, today, tonight and around the world. That to continue to expand airports and a fleet of new coal-fired power stations is nothing less than criminal activity. It is crimes against humanity. But let me just finish by saying that some people think that we'll never be able to persuade the politicians to act on this kind of agenda. But while it might be economically and technically possible to tackle climate change, that it might not be politically possible. I believe we are here today to redefine what is meant by politically possible. 100 years ago, Emmeline Pankhurst said that to be militant is a privilege. She was right, and we should use that privilege. She understood, as we understand, that direct action is the last resort of a democracy. She knew, as we know, that there is a time for words and a time for action. Well, let me end by proposing a key date for our next action. The place I want to see all of you on the 12th of January is for a dinner at Domestic Departures, Terminal 1, Heathrow Airport, 7 o'clock.
In the USA, where there is very little activity amongst the Muslims there's now a green movement developing, a green Muslim movement. And they have been an inspiration. They're starting small, but they've been an inspiration to us, so keep an eye out for them.
In the last year, the American government and the Federal Reserve Bank gave already $2 trillion to the banks to disappear down holes. With that money, we could make 200 million jobs in the global south. What is the answer to mass unemployment? The answer to mass unemployment is jobs. What is the answer to climate change? The answer to climate change is wind turbines. It's solar power. It's railways. It's insulating houses. And all of the answer is jobs. The answer is alternative energy. We can do it. We can make poverty history at the same time as we save the climate and save the air. And everybody knows it's possible. And every time they tell you the car factories have to close, you come right back and tell them, no, the car factories can make wind turbines.
If this carbon addiction, this cycle of dependency continues, then by the time my generation reaches its old age, all it will have left of the planet that we have today will be memories. Those who will follow us won't even have that. The promises in the Climate Act are bold, but action on the ground is still insufficient. Western leaders, through their environmental wrecking ball tactics, have shown that they lack the courage to take the necessary steps, and that solving climate change is beyond their short-term outlook. The impacts of climate change extend past their careers in office and past their lifetimes. In the UK Youth Climate Coalition, we are creating a positive, inclusive and diverse movement of young people. We need to hold those in power to account right now, because as young people, we will be dealing with, paying for and living in the future that is being built today.
Corporations do not care, there's no profit for them there, but you and me have better find the time. Because if we don't power down to a transition in this town, we'll be dying, panic buying down the line. Be gone, now the wells are running down. Be gone, you won't be in town. Be gone, we're not powerless ahead. Be gone, we got people power instead. Be gone, I know I wish I read that peace oil sign. So what it said, that peace oil sign.